why I'm a fearless woman for the Fearless Woman series. So the question is, when and why did I start living a fearless life? Well, I remember back, it would have been 2005, so 12, 13 years ago now. I was studying at university and I was incredibly unhappy. I felt really dissatisfied, and I remember being stuck in traffic and driving past these beautiful houses, and I was working in a cafe at the time, and I would serve cups of coffee and tea to these women who seemed to I wanted to be the person who was drinking the coffee and not making the coffee anymore. And I became really, really curious. And it was at that point when I started to really question if what I was doing was conducive to the life that I really wanted, which was one of freedom and fearlessness. And at that time, I was training in martial arts. I was already a world champion. But I knew that there was sort of an edge for me to continue to lean into. And I felt in my gut that there was more for me. And so it wasn't about learning to become fearless, because I still live with fear all the time, constantly expanding my comfort zone and being more comfortable with discomfort and fear. But now it's about less fear. And when I see fear, seeing it as a signpost to run towards the thing that I want, and owning it as a signpost to go towards and run towards what it is that I'm looking at, because it's a real opportunity for me to grow now. So when was it? It was around 12 or 13 years ago when I really started to question my reality and where I was heading. And why? Because I was sparked by what was around me, what was going on, and I wanted certain things that I knew what I was doing wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. So even though it was completely out of my paradigm to start exploring, how do I not be the person that works in a cafe? Or how do I actually become the type of person who doesn't win seemingly by chance, but actually wins consistently and can stay on top and can manage her state like this? Like, how can I actually do more and become, like, I just started to become super curious at this time where I was really frustrated. So it was that time of frustration that instead of staying there and being frustrated with life, I allowed myself to become incredibly curious. My story regarding getting into karate is super uninspiring. I did it for 15 years, and I started 3 times and quit twice. So I was very young, watched The Karate Kid at home, and someone happened to come and knock on my parents' door, and invite us to join the local karate club, which we did, and then we quit because we thought it was really boring and I was too young and lacked focus, and that happened twice. And then the 3rd time, my brother, who did it with me, he actually stayed on, and he got to around about blue belt. And then one day we were having a massive argument at home, and I ran down the hallway to push him, and he just went, and I went like this onto the wall. So that was when I said, all right, I'm coming back to karate because I can't let my brother beat me up anymore, or potentially beat me up. So yeah, it was really born out of a desire to be the top dog in my family and as the oldest, still be able to beat up my little brother and sister. Not that I ever did. Yeah, like I said, super uninspiring, super random, but it's what got me in there. What's it like to be a world champion? Well, honestly, it felt quite surreal when it happened. But I had done so much inner work around getting to that place that when I won the tournament, honestly, I felt like, of course I won. Not from that place of ego, but it was almost like a walkthrough process. Like by the time I got to the point where I had trained so hard and for so long and done so much inner work and so much visualization and so much mental and emotional and spiritual and physical preparation, by the time the tournament day came around, it wasn't about winning or not winning. I truly didn't care anymore. I knew I was the type of person that was a new normal for me. So it felt like it just felt like a walkthrough process. It felt really good, but it wasn't a huge shock and surprise. And even though it was completely out of my control, it felt good. It felt right. And I was really happy with that because I knew in that moment that it wouldn't have bothered me whether I won or lost, because I had become the type of woman that I needed to become to win that tournament. And that's the only indicator that you can have walking into an event like that, because it's out of your control. You never know on the day what's going to happen. You could fall over and hurt yourself and lose points. The person in front of you could injure themselves and they're the ex-world champion. It could be that you have a really bad judging decision made against you or made in your favor. There's just so many things that are completely unpredictable in those circumstances. So the first time it ever happened for me, actually, I had extra fights. There was an uneven number of people in the tournament, and I was given an extra round to fight. And I remember before that fight thinking, I don't care. Put every single person in front of me. I don't care. Bring it on. Let's do this. And so, yeah, I felt like I deserved it. But most importantly, I really owned who I needed to be in that moment. So it felt just like a nice confirmation that my inner world was now meeting my outer world, and it was beautiful. So my fitness regime has changed a lot. I no longer train in karate, and for 15 years I really punished my body doing 5 hours a day of training, running 10 kilometers, going to the park on a Saturday night at 10 p.m. after a party when everyone was going to bed, and I would go out and do drills and kick poles and, kick tree leaves and grass and just practice what I was doing. And I burnt out. And from there I had to rebuild my body after that. And my exercise regime today looks completely different to what it did back when I was an athlete. My exercise regime now is really gentle. I do what feels right. If I feel a lot of energy in my body that needs to be expelled, I will go out and use that energy. But most of the time, my exercise regime is about gentle, soft, slow, and consistent movement. So it looks like 1 to 2 walks outside a day, or on the beach, or on a local walk, or on a hike. It might be a yoga class at home or elsewhere, or it might just be dancing around in my kitchen. I do a lot of meditation, I do a lot of deep breathing, I do a lot of deep stretching, and some of my favorite movement to do is yin yoga, where you literally lay down for 5 minutes at a time and do really deep stretches. And that's the thing that counteracts my yang energy. I'm a very go, go, go sort of person. So continuing in that state of go, go, go and adrenaline actually doesn't serve my highest good at this point in time. So my exercise regime is all about slowing me down and bringing me to a place of just maximum ease, maximum flow, just allowing my digestion to work properly, and it really works for me. It feels really, really good. And then, of course, if I want to push and do something, which is quite rare, I'll go out and do it, and I really get a lot out of that too. So sometimes my partner and I will get on the tandem bike and do like 20 or 40 Ks to the next town and back again. And that's fun too, but it's pretty rare. So yeah, most of my exercise is super chill, super light, counterintuitively to what you might think of an athlete. So the next question is, as a world traveller, tell us your favourite place that you've been to. As a world traveller, that is the hardest question you could possibly ask me. So for the purpose of answering this question, I'm going to say Cuba. And the reason why I say that is because I went there completely unprepared on 45 minutes notice back in 2013 when it wasn't legal for Americans to travel there. And I'm Australian, obviously, but it was still quite contested to go from an American airport to Mexico to there and then to come back to America with a Cuban stamp in my passport. And when I was there, it was still in a state of it was like going back in time. I met incredible people. I had crazy experiences there. I was thankfully given the gift of having my casa owner's son take me and some people that I met in Cuba from Australia. He took us around and was kind of like a tour guide for us, was able to speak the language and really take care of us. And because he was a well-known local, we got to have local food and experience things that a lot of tourists don't get to experience. But I was running a business at the time from my laptop, and I tried to access PayPal from the only hotel where the internet was legal, and I got cut off because I was trying to access PayPal from a sanctioned country at the time. I think they're talking now, but it was illegal at the time, so I couldn't access any of my money, and ATMs didn't work over there because, cards and things, that wasn't a thing in Cuba. So I brought a whole stash of cash with me to get on the plane, and my accommodation was twice as much as what I thought it was going to be. So I ran out of money, and we had a car accident, and Dennis, the guy who was taking us around and was our tour guide, got arrested. So he got us in just as much trouble as he got us out of. But it was one of those experiences that was just, nobody knew where I was because I left on 45 minutes notice. I was there for 7 days. The internet was illegal, so I couldn't be in contact with the outside world. And it was just such a magical and incredible experience because I was so there, and it was so raw and so real and so scary at times. And I was so alone because I couldn't contact anyone. The internet was illegal, and I got cut off from my money. So that was probably the most memorable and also my favorite because I got to go to a place where tourism hadn't touched at that point in time. Tourism wasn't really a thing because Americans couldn't go there. And it was incredibly special. Aside from that, I connected really well with the woman who owned the house that I was staying in. And so I got to get to know her and her daughter and her son and eat with her and listen to her stories and hear her troubles and help her a little bit with her business. Like, we had trouble communicating, but we connected on a sister level, and it was just so deeply amazing being in Cuba. And aside from that, walking down the street and there are just people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s dancing to this Cuban rhythm, like in the street, smoking cigars while you're there, and these old dilapidated buildings are just like barely standing up around you. There's so much happiness in that place where there was also so much hardship. It was amazing. What keeps me motivated? This is a great question too, because I don't believe that motivation comes and then you do something. I believe that it's being in action that keeps me motivated. So putting myself in situations that are outside of my comfort zone, that's huge. That keeps me motivated. Getting out from behind my computer and connecting with people and talking to them and serving them and helping them, that keeps me motivated. Asking myself what I think is impossible, that keeps me motivated as well, and going for that. Looking at my fears, peering them in the face and going, okay, I'm gonna lean right into you and step right into you right now. That really keeps me motivated. Aside from that, on a more practical level, I have designed my life very fearlessly, where I take 1 week off every month to be creative, to explore, to travel, to do whatever it is that I like. And I've set up my weeks so that one day every week I'm just not in connection with anybody, and I can be in connection with nature, with my partner, just at home, reading books, doing whatever it is that I feel like doing. So that's what keeps me energized, motivated on an energetic level and sustainable level. Because when I take space away from things, I really get messages and downloads, and I'm able to connect more with what it is that I want to do and the people that I'm serving and the people that I'm here to help and what they need as well. So the more I disconnect, the more I'm able to connect with myself and with others. So that would be how I really keep myself motivated in that way. And the best life coaching tip that I can share, another hard question. I'm going to check in with myself on this one. I want to say the best coaching tip that I can share is that the more you are, the more truthful you are, the more you embody that soft, gentle, flowing but firm power that you have, the more your life absolutely lights up. Nobody can argue with the truth. So the more you are, the more you design everything that you want to do and create around you and what you believe and how you feel and what you value, life opens up and expands at exactly the same proportion that you're willing to lean in and be all of you with it. And I feel like that's a paradox for some people because we wait for things to show up before we start giving ourselves permission to be all of ourselves. But the more you do that, paradoxically, the more life opens up and supports you to do what it is that you want to do, or be who you want to be, or dive in deeper with what you want to do. So that would be my best tip. Your softness is your greatest strength, and lean into truth. No one can argue with it, and the more you do, the more you are supported. Thank you so much. If you want to find out more about me, my name is Hayley Carr, and you can find me at www.hayleycarr.tv or on Instagram at hayleycarr.tv. Thank you so much. Stay curious.